been perceived over here. But certainly, we can't be complacent, and I think the Obama administration has an opportunity to perhaps think about different approaches to public diplomacy worldwide, maybe even reviving independent agency. I don't know if that is the route that they will follow. But in the case of Korea, we just have to continue to be extremely active out there in terms of all kinds of outreach. And I think we've found that both official embassy spokesmen from the ambassador on down and traveling guests that our public affairs people bring over have good access to the Korean media. They're well received with large audiences at Korean universities and by civic groups. Koreans are extremely well informed, so you can have a very lively, sometimes even heated discussion at some of these fora, but it's ultimately the best way to communicate, get past some of the stereotypes and misperceptions. So the OPCON transfer issue, that's more of a niche issue. There's not, I don't think, mass concern about it, but there are some conservatives and retired military who are still not persuaded. And I think both the embassy and our military need to get out there and explain in much more detail what's not going to change. That we're going to still have an alliance, we can still have combined planning and a combined military strategy if war should come, and that rearranging the organization chart isn't ultimately going to dilute the unity of purpose and the pooling of our commitments, of our capabilities, that will ensure that we prevail in any scenario. So that those who fear that this is a step toward U.S. withdrawal or abandonment are sorely mistaken.
Joe Wins.
Sandy, let me add my voice to those who express appreciation and admiration for all you did during the 3 years in Seoul. I must say, I think it reflects the best tradition of foreign service. You were able to come from the background in basically Russia, Central Eastern Europe, and do the kind of job you did. So congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
I wonder if you'd reflect a little bit about, over the 3-year period, how you saw attitudes in Korea about foreign participation in the Korean economy, Korean society, Korean culture. I'm thinking of foreign direct investment, I'm thinking involvement in the financial sector, in education, in healthcare. You still see articles every month in the Korean press saying, our Americans are taking over, we got to be careful about this or that and the other thing. How did that attitude evolve over the 3 years you were there?
My sense is that the situation was better at the end of my time there than it was at the beginning. There's still this ambivalence on the part of many Koreans about too much foreign investment. There's still a sense that foreign companies and financial institutions took advantage of Korea after the Asian financial crisis to buy up all these precious national assets on the cheap. But I think that Koreans are, because they're perhaps such a well-educated people, maybe understand globalization and how ultimately Korea has benefited from market opening, but from fuller integration in the world economy, and so that people are beginning to see the plus side, even if emotions continue to pull them in the other direction. So, even though the financial crisis ultimately nixed the sale of Korea Exchange Bank to HSBC, it was good to see that the long unresolved issues blocking that, which are, I think, a reflection of this public ambivalence, that those obstacles have finally been removed, so that hopefully some other buyer, whether it's Korean or foreign, can now let Lone Star have its wish and sell KEB. And I think we've seen, from everything I heard from AmCham members who I met with quite frequently, they were finding Korea an easier place to do business with each passing year that I was there. Always some issue comes up, but in the last year in particular, the Korean side has been very responsive in diffusing some of the kind of normal trade disputes that always come up in any relationship.
Don.
Sandy, echoing others, thanks for your service out there, which was excellent. You seem rather positive in the tone of what you said about the international problems, or national problems, if you want to call it North-South problems that are facing the Republic of Korea. And you mentioned that the succession in North Korea may help, which I found distinctly interesting. What is your view about the future with North Korea, and why do you think the succession might help?
Well, of course, relations with the current regime, while we work through some issues, are infernally difficult. So maybe I tend towards the view that nowhere to go but up. But I do believe seriously what I said in my remarks, that we have no real window into the internal political maneuvering that's going on now, or which would certainly heat up if Kim Jong-il were to pass from the scene. But clearly none of the three sons have thus far been prepared to take the helm, and so there's at least a chance that a leader or collective leadership not part of the Kim family would take over. And I think therefore the imperative of propping up all the myths and legacies of the Kim family would be less of a concern, and maybe the welfare of the people, which doesn't seem to be high on the list of priorities of the regime right now, would become more of a priority for the new leadership. And that would give us opportunities to try to help them deal with the economic stagnation of the country and begin to open up the country in ways that the current regime simply will not permit. So, yes, it could be messy, and we do have to worry about power struggles that could involve battles over who controls the nuclear weapons. There's a lot of dangers. But I think that, as we've seen in the different East European countries, who had different kinds of transitions, some were relatively smooth, some, like Romania's, were violent. But you look at where these countries are today, and you have to hope that the North Koreans can even get half that far over the next 10 or 15 years. So, but we have to always remember that the South will be in the lead. We have to work with the South, and I think it's time to think more seriously about transition scenarios. And as I said, I think the current South Korean government is quite ready to do that, and something that we try to do discreetly between governments, but it really is critical that we be prepared, because things could change within a matter of days if the next health crisis for Kim Jong-il does indeed prove fatal.
Ambassador Vershbow, thank you not only for your service but for coming here today and sharing with us. I would love to hear if you have any more insight or impressions on the phenomena of the already huge and growing number of Koreans studying abroad in the United States. Have we already begun to see the effects? Are we just starting to see the effects? Have you seen it in any interesting way that we might not think of? And in the event that Korea remains a well-kept secret and it's a one-way, predominantly one-way exchange, do you see that headed in any sort of direction? Your thoughts?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Clearly, with more than 100,000 students a year, both high school and university level, you're going to see certainly improved levels of English language skills, which, despite Koreans' obsession with this, are still pretty poor. Koreans seem to be focus on preparing for the standardized tests rather than learning actually how to speak. And so those who've had their time in the States, whether it's a year or getting a